You may now begin, Commissioner.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is the June 29th meeting of the Housing Opportunities Commission Budget and Administration Committee. I'm Rick Nelson, Chair of the committee. I'm joined by fellow Commissioner Jeffrey Merkowitz, who is also a member of the committee, and the Acting Executive Director, Kayreen Brown, and assorted other staff members from HOC. Okay, the first order of business is approval of the minutes of the May 24th, 2022 meeting. Do I hear a motion for approval of those minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
And having
I
no other
second.
Oh, I was wondering whether that was you coming in. I think we've been joined on the phone by Commissioner Fran Kelleher, who has just said.
Hi, sorry, I had some IT issues and I couldn't come
Okay.
by Zoom, but I'm here by phone.
Okay, thank you. So it's been probably moved to second, and all in favor say aye.
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 Okay, the first item of business is the IT system procurement. Approval to amend and restate a resolution related to the Yardi Financial and Property Management System. And Carlos, are you going to start us off on that, or?
Yes, I will
Okay,
do that. Hello, Commission. I am Carlos Taylor, the Chief Technology Officer here at HOC. We're here to discuss the approval to amend and restate Resolution 02113 to provide for administrative extensions and renewals to the Yardi Financial and Property Management System in accordance with Section 16.2 of the procurement policy. Yardi Voyager is a secure cloud-based application that HOC uses for financial and property management, as well as the primary system of record for customer-related information. It's designed to manage a variety of property types and financial processes, and is used by staff within nearly every division and department, and is integral to HOC's operation. On December 11th, 2002, HOC passed Resolution 02113, approval of financial software acquisition, which authorized the purchase and implementation of the software conversion utilizing Yardi for financial and property management. The Yardi contract is considered a core contract and is governed by the provisions of Appendix 4 and Section 16 of the HOC procurement policy. Although the authorizing resolution met the requirements of Section 16.1, it did not expressly authorize renewals and therefore fails to meet the requirements of Section 16.2. Given that the Commission has been aware that the Yardi contract has been continuously renewed on an annual basis since the authorizing resolution was passed, it can be inferred that the Commission intended to include renewals in the authorizing resolution. We are requesting that the Budget, Finance, and Audit Committee join staff in this recommendation of the amendment and reinstatement of Resolution 02113 to provide for administrative extension and renewals to the Yardi Financial and Property Management System in accordance with Section 16.2 of the procurement policy. If you have any questions towards, I can elaborate.
I guess my question is just, I understand this is integral to our operations. Do we ever review that and look at other systems? You note some of the other agencies in the area that use this, but by their absence, I'm assuming that there are others that use other systems. Other large housing agencies that use other systems, and so I'm just wondering do we ever take the opportunity to see whether another system might be either more appropriate or more cost effective?
Basically, we do look at other systems and environments in relation to how Yardi is implemented for our agency. There's no single entity that would be able to replace it. So a financial piece would be separated from property management, and then tying in the information between the two becomes a challenge in itself. And then you also would have, data in two locations, but periodically we do look to see what other type of options we have as an agency. So I hope that answers.
This is Fran. Would this provide an unlimited number of administrative renewals? Or would there be, many of our contracts have a base period with options for renewals for 3 or 5 years or some such thing?
Yeah, this would be more like a utility. So it would be indefinite until we make a modification to either get off the system.
So in other words, this contract would have no expiration date if we chose, or if staff chose to.
Yeah, only if we would terminate the service, but annually they would send an updated invoice towards what we use when it comes to relation to the properties and back-end services.
And what is the annual cost of this contract?
This contract includes some of the additional services. It is 700 and let me go back to that screen. Sorry, $738,063.17, and that includes our core services and the Rent Cafe, which allows for digital certifications and things that address some of the property management issues as well.
But Carl, let me just to clarify the answer you just gave to Commissioner Kelleher. The contract with Yardi is not unending. It's just we essentially renew, the staff renews it every year. Is that correct?
That's correct. So if we did nothing, it wouldn't automatically trigger where it would be paid.
I mean, I think that what this is addressing is the ability of the staff to do this every year without having to come back to the commission, because it has been part of our policy that these core functions could in fact be contracted for and renewed by staff without having to come back.
And we also put it in with the annual budget renewal process. So it goes through the approval process to see what each of these changes would adjust itself for the annual budget as well. So,
and you also mentioned in terms of the pricing for this, there's a new function, the Rent Cafe, that we're adding to the contract this year that we haven't had before. Would you like to just sort of elucidate on that a little bit so that the other members of the committee can understand what it is that we're getting with this?
So Rent Cafe is a additional service that incorporates the data that we use within our core systems to allow for clients to do certifications through digital means, either through cell phone, laptop, computer, allowing them to the ability to not necessarily come in and to streamline some of the questions that they normally filled through the large paper packet. The information that they would receive online would be able to facilitate whoever the client in caseworker exchange of information. So if it's reassigned to a different case worker, the resident would be able to automatically see who their new case manager is and to be able to disseminate information back and forth. And this we hope would help their process on the recertifications in total. So
There's also, I thought, in discussions I've had with staff, some administrative steps that we currently have to sort of almost transfer from one system to another that would be eliminated as a result of this. Is that correct?
In some cases, yes. The information that we are pulling through Housing Path currently is more of a manual process and manual entry into the Yardi environment. And when we use the services within Rent Cafe, it would be all incorporating with the information already housed in the Yardi system. So it streamlines errors, the process time, and the turnaround for the type of information that we will be able to pull from the client information.
Reduces the staff time that we have been using to transfer this information.
Yeah.
The other thing, I guess, that I think about in relationship to the question that Commissioner Kelleher raised, she's asking to what extent we get to review this. Your answer is that we do it at the time of approval of the budget. And I guess what that suggests to me is that we should probably, for the benefit of the BFNA and maybe the commission, at budget time, just flag what's included in terms of core contracts that haven't been specifically reviewed, and we can just get an update if there's a necessity for saying. I'm not even sure, for example, how many core contracts we have or what their value is, but I know that even though they're in the budget, I'm not sure that it's really looked at and thought about. So maybe that's an opportunity for us to hear that, yes, it's going fine, we haven't had any problems. Okay.
Chair, this is Commissioner Kelleher again. I would also, if she's on the line, appreciate hearing from Asha whether or not this process that we are being asked to follow would comply with the state legislature's setting a dollar level of contracts, which can be approved at the executive director level without coming to the commission. I'm a little concerned about the $700,000 a year exceeding what the legislature allows the executive director to approve.
Hi, Commissioner. This is Asha. I think this question has come up in the past, and to my knowledge, the legislation that you're referring to doesn't apply here, but I can take another look to confirm.
Okay.
I guess I would hope it doesn't apply in some sense, since this has been our practice for the last 20 years.
Just about.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately,
the legislature reduced they had reduced the amount that the executive director could approve. So I'm worried whether this falls into that change or not. And I would appreciate if we have some way of checking that.
Okay. Asha, I'd ask that, or staff, whoever, send out a note to the commission, to the BFNA, answering that question after you researched it.
No problem.
Okay. Any other? Then I would like to entertain a motion subject to positive comments related to that last point that Commissioner Kelleher just raised.
I would move that pending clarification of the ability of staff to approve this size and type of contract, that we forward to the commission are joining the staff's recommendation that this contract be approved.
Second.
Or that the
Or
renewal
it's
and
an amendment,
extension.
right? It's an amendment to a previous resolution.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
So should I restate that?
I think we've got it.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Any other conversation on this? All in favor, then say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it's approved. Subject to the positive review by the council. And I think actually the wording, I was wrestling with it while you were talking, Fran. The word you said pending review by the council. I think you mean subject to. Pending.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next item is the request for additional services under professional auditing services contract. Gatsby 87. Wonderful Gatsby.
It is.
Tim, are you having the joy of discussing this wonderful thing?
I will have the joy of.
I shouldn't be so cavalier. It's just that Gatsby is a very difficult issue that we always have to deal with. And it seems to me they fall over themselves to make life more difficult for agencies like us.
That is exactly right. And yes, I will be presenting. Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. For the record, Tim Getzinger, I am the Chief Development Funds Officer and the acting CFO of HOC. And yes, I will be presenting the Great Gatsby discussion item for today. I will be going over 5 main areas. One, just a background of the audit contract. Next, rates for additional professional services. Why exactly do we need additional professional services, and what is Gatsby 87? And then some projected fees and the services offered for these fees. And then finally, an update on the current projections for fees and next steps. So to take you back to the background, on March 8th, 2021, so a little over a year ago, we put out the RFP 2252 for professional auditing services to public accounting firms. And on December 8th, the commission selected CLA, Clifton Larson Allen, to be the auditor for HOC for fiscal years 22 and 23, as evidenced by resolution 21-117 AS. And so moving to the next page, page 13. One of the things that we requested in the RFP was, if something were to come up, what would the rates for additional professional services be? And essentially, any such work that we agree to with the auditors, they have to follow the set schedule of fees on their proposal. And CLA is doing just that. Now, we've known about it for a little bit, but there is something called Gatsby 87, and it is regarding leases, and it's something that needs to be completed with the FY22 audit. What I want to mention is, although we did know about it, although all audit firms knew about it, we had no way of knowing how many leases HOC would have that would be under Gatsby. And in fact, as I take you through what the projected fees were with what the fees are now, it's going to kind of exemplify that point. I mean, there's really no way of knowing what the price would be. So what exactly is Gatsby 87? Well, it's a statement required by the Government Accounting Standards Board, which essentially they take a look at all of the different GAAP protocol, and they want to promote a clear, consistent, transparent, and comparable financial reporting for everything. So they want to be able to take a look at our finances and other like size, financial institutions like HOC, other PHAs, and be able to draw certain conclusions with the financial health of the agency. What Gatsby 87 is, it's a new lease accounting standard and reporting standard established by Gatsby, and it applies to all state and local governments that use Gatsby standards for financial reporting. So this applies to all PHAs. There's also FASB protocol that also applies, and FASB is essentially the same thing as Gatsby. It's just the Financial Accounting Standards Board. And really what it does is it takes a look at certain lease assets and liabilities, and it reports it in a clear and consistent manner. What that means for us is that we needed to create an inventory of all of our leases. Now, not all of the leases that we have are Gatsby 87 applicable. It's only for leases that are over 12 months. And that is an important thing to note, because there are certain leases that are over, a year. And one of the biggest unknowns as we approached this was the number of tenant leases. You may or may not know, but Bill 1915, which was passed several years ago, it required offering two-year leases to tenants, both on the initial offering as well as subsequent renewals. And that was really the big unknown here. However, we have been working with CLA since the beginning of the year with staff, and we have essentially have a framework which will make it so that we are able to be compliant with Gatsby 87 within the required timeline, which is fiscal year 2022. We need to include it in our financial statements. And so what CLA will be providing is they will be providing, and they've already provided this, they will be providing HOC with an Excel-based CLA import template. Then they're going to calculate the lease asset and lease liability based upon the lease information that we provide to CLA in the template. They'll propose specific journal entries to record the lease asset and lease liability in accordance to both the Gatsby and the FASB regulations. They will assist with drafting the related statements, and then they will be able to provide us, and they will provide us with all of the information that we need to take this and move it forward. So essentially, if we were going to take a look at other systems in the future, we would own all of that information and we would have the ability to do so. On the bottom of this page and then the next page is the fees to implement Gatsby 87. Now, again, I kind of started this off with, when we started this, we didn't know how many leases we had, and we had a specific estimate of 500 leases for real estate. So those would be the tenant leases. That was the estimate for 2-year tenant leases. And then we had an estimate of 80 other real estate leases and 40 auto leases. And given that particular estimate, the total year one cost were estimated at $73,500. So what I want to stress is that we have been working very diligently since the beginning of the year to have the full inventory of all of our leases. And then staff, not CLA, staff have been reviewing these to determine what we include and what we do not include. And you know, we've had a number of different teams working on this, and they've been working on it essentially around the clock. And so we have taken that initial estimate of, what is that, 620 or yeah, 620 leases. Currently, and this could go up or down, we are at 163 leases, which includes 89 tenant leases and then 74 commercial and other leases. So the takeaway here is that the current estimate of cost is around 20,000 to 25,000. So it has been significantly reduced given all of the staff's hard work. Had CLA done this legwork, their professional fees would have been a lot higher. So I do want to recognize staff for all of their hard work. I also want to note that the largest fee here, the largest fee is the flat rate of $100 per lease. So again, if there's fewer leases, which we're projecting much fewer leases, the cost is significantly reduced. What we will be doing moving, assuming of course that the BFNA recommends or will take staff's recommendation, we are taking a look at other lease inventory systems because I mean, frankly, $100 a lease, that it's kind of expensive. However, when you take a look that CLA is delivering a turnkey system in which, you know, we deliver to them the template and we have all of the, you know, the financial statements that we need for our audit. This is what we need to really be able to do what we need to do. So I did want to kind of highlight that the costs are significantly less than what were originally projected. And moving forward, we will be taking a look at other systems that are available because we want to be able to make a cost-conscious decision. And so with that, are there any questions?
It sounds as if this is a requirement, essentially, a new regulatory requirement that has costs associated with it, and we have to comply.
That is accurate, yes.
Given that, I don't have any questions, and I would move that we support the staff's recommendation to allow for the additional services under the audit, professional auditing services.
Okay, all in
I
favor?
second that.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Then
Aye.
the motion is approved. Tim, on this point that you made, that you're looking at other systems, does that mean that in going forward, this does not necessarily have to be a part of the audit contract? I mean, the results of whatever compilation have to be fed into the audit, but the auditor, whomever it would happen to be, does not have to be the entity collecting the data.
That is accurate, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we'll have that straightened out by the time of the preparation for the 23 audit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nelson, this is Gail Willison. I'd just like to clarify that review of GASB 87 will have to be part of any audit contract. The intent is that, I'm just making sure everybody is clear,
Yeah.
that we can choose how we feed them the
Right.
information. But they will review and they may ask to see our documentation from if we use Yardi or something like that. But
Yeah.
any auditor that the commission would choose will have to review and pull samples from GASB 87.
But I think the point I was making, and I think you just clarified, it's that we won't have to necessarily pay them $100 per lease.
Right.
We will give them the total number, and like they do in all other things, they might want sampling and do all that sort of stuff. Yes. Okay.
Correct.
Fine.
Correct.
All right.
And our auditors did warn us that this was coming. I mean, they had given us heads up in the past year that this was going to be a future requirement.
Are you asking or telling?
I'm telling.
Actually, that's a little bit of a question. I think everybody knew it. What I think the auditors did not do, which they could and should have done, they should have in fact flagged their audit proposal by saying there is not currently a cost in there to cover that because we don't know the parameters of the numbers of leases. And they failed to do that. So this amount of money, whether it's 25 or whether it was the original 75,000, was not fully anticipated by us. So
True.
anyway, but we are alerted now, and we surely will be on top of it next year at this time. Anything else?
No, sir.
Nope.
Well, there being nothing else and no other business and no other agenda items, then I will declare that this meeting is adjourned. Jeff, you can go back to doing what you do every day. And have a good 4th of July, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Just-
you.
Oh,
Well,
Thank you. You too. Bye.
bye.